y'all is the main one who like attention. Women like attention too. Continually fresh attention.
Yeah.
Welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad you're here. Today we are talking about Seeking Brother Husband, Season 1, Episode 3. I have to tell you guys, I'm really liking this show. It's on right after 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, which is my favorite in the 90 Day Fiancé franchise. So, you know what? Sunday night is good TV for me. I'm really liking this, but let's go ahead and talk about Episode 3. We're going to start out with Chara, Patrick, and Noble. So we see Chara talking to Patrick about Noble wanting to move back in with them. And that is something that happened in the last episode. Noble met with Chara over lunch or dinner and discussed with her that he wants to move back in. Chara was not a fan of this idea. She didn't like it when Noble presented it to her over lunch, and Patrick was not a fan when Chara shared it with him. Like, they were not having it. Patrick said it was really uncomfortable with Noble living there, and he didn't want to go through that again. But you guys, I did catch something, and I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but I felt like this was really weird. Listen to what Patrick says when he talks about Noble living with them.
We didn't really set any boundaries at that time, so like he was supposed to be in the basement, but he would just come upstairs, sit in the kitchen unannounced. It was a little annoying.
So he wasn't supposed to go in the kitchen? He was supposed to just stay in the basement? That to me does not sound like a situation where they wanted Noble to move in with them because it was going to be, a great relationship between all of them. This sounds like a situation where Noble needed somewhere to stay, so they let him move in and they were like, hey, you know what? You can have a place in the basement, but, the rest of the house really isn't yours. This is temporary. It does not sound like it was intended to be long term. How was he not supposed to ever come up to the kitchen? It just doesn't make sense. A part of me thinks he needed a place to stay. It was during the beginning of the pandemic and they let him come in there and it just was uncomfortable for Patrick, so it didn't work out. But it doesn't sound to me like he was he was meant to stay there for long. So we can tell that Noble's not going to be moving back in. Later in the show, we see Patrick outside washing Chara's car and he's tackling some other items on the honey to-do list. Chara comes out there with him and we find out that Patrick has 5 kids from previous relationships, and we also find out that Chara is now wanting to have a child of her own. So Patrick basically says, I have a lot of kids. His youngest kid is 25 years old. He says, if she would have mentioned this 10 years ago, I might have done it. But now it's just too late. He is done. He is happy his kids are grown. He does not want to have any more children. Then they're standing outside together. Noble pulls up. And this is where it gets a little bit funny. You can tell that Patrick is just annoyed with Noble immediately. And he starts kind of throwing some jabs. So I wanted to go ahead and show the first thing he did, or the first thing he said. Listen to this clip.
Yo.
What's up, Noble?
What's
Dang,
up,
you
yo?
want to block everybody in?
Y'all ain't going nowhere right now.
So Patrick just had to throw in there that Noble had blocked everyone in, even though they're clearly washing their cars there in the driveway and they're not going to be leaving anywhere anytime soon. But he is not done. Patrick has to throw in another one. Listen to this.
Right before you rudely interrupt us, blocked everybody in.
My bad.
Yeah, Noble, you blocked everyone in and rudely interrupted their conversation. You can just tell Patrick is annoyed with him. Noble is not coming back into this house, not to live. No way. Patrick's not going to have it. But during this conversation, now, Noble is involved. He's there with Patrick and Chara. Chara shares that she wants to have another baby. And Noble says there's no way that's happening between the two of them, and Chara agrees. We find out that they both carry sickle cell trait, so they've known the whole time that they were never going to have children together. That is just not a risk they're going to take. So this leaves us with a problem. Chara wants to have a child, but neither of these men can be the father of that kid. Patrick doesn't want to, and Noble, there's just some health issues there. So We see Chara go on a date. Later on in the episode, she goes on a date with a man named DeAndre. They go salsa dancing. They seem to get along well, but Chara is really straightforward. She tells him the situation, with their relationships, and she tells him that she is wanting to have a child. DeAndre does not seem on board with this. He doesn't want to have a kid, so this is not something that's going to work out for him. And to be honest with you, I like Chara, I like Patrick. Noble hasn't been on there that much, but they are so far, as far as personalities go, my favorite couple. But do I think this is a good idea for her, just to jump straight into having a baby with someone or trying to rush a relationship to have a child? No, I think it's a terrible idea. But do I like them? Yes, I like Chara and I like Patrick. So I'm just looking forward to having more of them on this show. The next couple, Kenya, Carl, and Tiger. A big thing that's been going on with them in this show is that Tiger wants to have a commitment ceremony. He wants to have a wedding. He feels like he needs to distinguish himself. I think that's what he's wanting here. He wants to stand out because Kenya wants to bring a new man into the relationship. So he doesn't want to just be a boyfriend. They've been together years. He wants to have a more committed relationship. So I think it's really about distinguishing himself and getting a real commitment from her before she gets this new man. So they're all together and they're in the kitchen. Kenya's cooking. It's Kenya, Carl, and Tiger. And Tiger says, I went and talked to my parents about whether or not they would attend a wedding, and they don't want to. They're not supportive of this. They don't think I should be marrying someone that's already married. Now, here's the thing. If you've been watching this, you know that Kenya doesn't think that weddings are just about the two people getting married. She thinks wedding ceremonies are really about the family. And if his family isn't coming, there's no reason to have a wedding ceremony.
Given this news, I don't feel like we should do this wedding.
She is just not into it. She doesn't want to do it. So when he tells her this just adds more to it. She's like, what is the point of it? We're basically already married. Why have the ceremony? But I think for Tiger, it's just having more of a commitment and having the same level of a commitment that she has with Carl. Now, we do get a little bit of insight into their marriage and their relationships when Carl talks about the role that he often has when it comes to Tiger and Kenya. So I'm going to put in a clip of him talking about it here.
And that's okay with me. Like, I want to make sure Tiger understands Kenya and where she's coming from with some of the things that she's talking about, but I also want Kenya to understand kind of like the guy perspective on things.
It's interesting because I think they coexist really well. I mean, Carl is wanting to help Tiger and Kenya communicate and see each other's perspectives, and they seem to work together. There doesn't seem to be a lot of jealousy, and they live together well. No one seems to be annoyed with anyone else. So they seem to have really worked this out. But right now, I think the biggest issue is that Tiger doesn't know what the future looks like for him. I think he believes he's going to be pushed aside when a new man comes along. And I think that commitment ceremony helps him just stand out. It helps distinguish him from just being another boyfriend. So hopefully Carl can help Kenya understand that. But while they're standing there talking, Kenya decides to bring up another man. She has someone from her past named David that has contacted her and wants to spend time with her. To be honest with you, it's not really that eventful. This scene isn't, but she does explain that David is from her past. But this is what's interesting about it. Kenya says she never dumps a man. Those are her words. She doesn't dump a man. You're not an ex. So basically, once you are in her life, you can be in her life forever. You're never really gone. So when David calls her, she doesn't say it's her ex-boyfriend. It's like a man in her life from the past has called her and can come back into her life. So she is really excited. She is super giddy when she is talking about him. She really wants David around. You can tell Tiger is not comfortable with this, but Kenya seems really into it. After this, we see Kenya go to the gym and she is talking to her trainer. She does not hold back. She is really straightforward about things. She wants fresh attention. And that was the clip I put at the beginning of this video. She basically says that men are always known for wanting attention, but you know what? Women want it too. She wants fresh attention. So that is what this is about. She wants a new man to give her attention, someone new in her life.
The best thing that could happen for Tiger and myself is David being back in my life and deliver what Tiger is not.
So basically, when things start to fizzle with Kenya, she doesn't end things in a relationship. She doesn't try to work on them. She just kind of moves that man into a different bedroom and gets a new one. If she is not careful, she is going to have a collection of men, and she is going to need a much, much bigger apartment. On to the next couple, Elisa and Mike. There's not really a whole lot to say about them in this episode. We see Elisa end up meeting her friend Amanda for lunch, and they discuss Elisa having a profile on a dating site. They also talk about Mike's mom. You know, Mike's mom isn't okay with this situation, which is completely understandable. Mike's mom is worried and convinced that Mike is being pressured to agree to this. And honestly, I agree with her. He does not seem to like this. Not really. He's putting all these rules on this, all the things that she can't do. You know, he's told Elisa, you can't bring a guy back to our house. You can't bring a guy into our second bedroom. You can't just have a fling. It can't be friends with benefits. I don't really know that Mike is comfortable with this, so I completely understand his mom's concerns. Mike and Elisa later on end up calling Mike's mom, and they invite her to LA to have a family day with Elisa's parents. You know, his mom wants to know why. Like, why are we doing this? And they tell her they want to have a family day, but they also want to discuss their relationship, and they also want to discuss what happened with the cheating. So they're going to talk about all of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I would pass on that family day, but I'm sure his mom has a lot to say, so it's going to be interesting. So the last of the couples is Kim, Dustin, and Vinson. We see Kim meet up with her friend who lives a similar lifestyle. So her friend has multiple partners. Kim wants to talk to her friend about what is going on with Vinson and how Vinson doesn't seem to want her to be in a relationship with another man. The only one he seems to be comfortable with is Dustin. So he doesn't want there to be a third partner for Kim. And her friend doesn't encourage her to necessarily work on things with Vinson. Her friend really seems to be looking out for Kim, and you know, which is what we expect a friend to do. Her friend is basically saying this might not be the right relationship with you. He might not be cut out for this, and then he's going to limit the people that you can see. This might not be someone you can stay with long term. So we hear her friend talking about this. I'm going to put in a clip so you can get an idea of what she's saying. You can go ahead and listen here.
I have to have someone that is able to love you for who you are,
right.
to be able to share you.
So her friend really isn't encouraging her to work on it. She's basically saying, you know, this might not be the right relationship for you, which is true. You know, if you're watching this, I think Vincent seems sad. I think he looks sad while he's seeing her with other people, and he seems sad when he talks about this situation. I don't know if that's kind of where he's at mentally, or if it's his personality. Maybe he's really reserved. I don't know, but he doesn't necessarily seem happy when he's on the show, not the way some of the other people do. Kim's friend ends up inviting all of them to a party. They think it will help Vincent to see Kim being more social and see other people living this lifestyle, and that is what ends up happening next. We see Dustin, Kim, and Vincent at a party. Kim is immediately concerned that Vincent is not going to be comfortable seeing her with other people, like seeing her flirting with other people, spending time with other people. So she is a bit worried about how this is going to go. Now, I just want to throw this in here. When I am watching this, I can't help but think that Dustin sees other people as well. And I don't know if I might have missed it and they said it, or if they're trying to like not really bring it up because that isn't the angle the show has. But like, I feel like Dustin, maybe he's seeing other people. Now, you know, I don't know that for a fact, but it would just make so much more sense for Dustin and Kim's relationship. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that it's like a fully open relationship where he dates too? Or do you think it's just Kim? Let me know in the comments. But while they're there, Kim starts talking to a man she knows. His name is Ryan. She really likes him. She is definitely flirting, and she says that they may end up going out on a date. While they are showing clips of Ryan and Kim together flirting, they also are kind of flipping over to Vinson. So we're switching back and forth at seeing what's going on. It's clear that Vinson is not really comfortable. He doesn't like seeing Kim with other people. He's not socializing. At least he's not when they show him. I'm sure he talked to people at some point, but you know how cameras are in TLC. He's kind of over by himself, and that's what they're showing us. But he doesn't seem comfortable. This doesn't look like something he enjoys. So that is where the show ends. We see him walking off, and that is it. So that is it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click like and subscribe. I definitely will keep making more videos about the show because I really like it. It's refreshing. I think after watching all of the other shows where there was polygamy, we see a husband having multiple wives, or there's all this conflict, or they're really young. Like you'll have these older men with younger girls or younger wives, or it's like too young, and you know we have to do raids on compounds. Like there's all of that, but in this show, everyone's fully in adulthood. Like everyone is an adult and can leave if they want to. So this is refreshing to me. I like it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you haven't already, click like and subscribe, and I hope you come back to Happily Ever Reality.